There is nothing more pleasant than to be introduced by a student.
Thank you, sir. It's my
So,
pleasure, sir.
welcome you all participants. Today, I am given the topic reflective teaching, and I have
Ji.
prepared a small presentation on the topic. With the help of that presentation, I will share some ideas with you. The, mm, the aim of this lecture for me is to learn from you. So whenever you feel to express some your ideas, you are free to express it. Just raise hand and the host will allow you to speak. So this is the presentation which I have prepared in the morning. First of all, I would like to mention three statements which are in a row. With time, we change. This is the truth. With time, we change. According to time, we change. But if we do not effort, the time will change us. With time, we change. As we change, we evolve. This is the result of the change. As we change, we evolve. And as we evolve, we excel. Now, everybody wants to excel, and this is the formula to excel. With time, we change. As we change, we evolve. As we evolve, we excel. If we want to excel, we have to evolve. To evolve, we have to change with time. So this is a very common, very natural formula to excel. The human being itself has come through this only way. Then how do we change? The first way of changing a person is naturally. We habitually change. We even are not aware of being changed. Sometimes uh, we feel if we look at us that we are changed. From a particular point of time, if we examine our journey, we will find that in a natural course, we are changed. The everyday process of changing is being performed by us every day. Uh, the second factor, that is due to some force, we if not change naturally, some forces change us. Sometimes uh, some calamities change us. At the present moment, we are changed due to a pandemic. See, Corona has changed all of us. Globally, we are changed. Our behavior is changed. Our way of working is changed. The form of this refresher itself is an example of this change. So due to some force, we change. And the third is reflectively. We change with our awareness. That is the reflectively changed. When we change being aware of change. It is a reflective change. And we are going to talk about reflective teaching. And so, reflective teaching, so there are three ways to change. One is naturally, another one is due to some force, and the third one is reflectively. So when we change reflectively, we are aware of the change. The direction of the change is also decided by the person who is reflecting. So the best way to change is reflective change. And now at this point of juncture, it is very natural to say that reflection leads to change. When we reflect, we change. That means reflection leads to change. And the reflective teaching is one of the changing process. Now some terms are used in the field. Sometimes they are synonymously used, sometimes they are different in meaning, but at a large it is one and the same. Reflective thinking, reflective practice, reflective learning, reflective teaching. The nature of reflective is somewhat different, but at the end all these things are the same. They talk about the same thing. So these four terms are used. And the reflective teaching or reflective practice, these words are not actually coined by Donald Scone, but they were popularized by Donald Scone. He left us in 1997. From 1930 to 1997, he lived, and he has given some precious articles, papers, and books. Two of them are reflected here in your screen: Frame Reflection and The Reflective Practitioner. So from these books, in 1983, he with stress popularized this reflective teaching. Now, what is reflective teaching? I have found this definition from the web. Reflective teaching, that is RT, is a self-assessment of teaching wherein an instructor examines their pedagogy, articulates reasons and strengths for their strategies, and identifies areas for revision or improvement. I just searched reflective definition of reflective teaching on Google, and the first result of that search was this. It was retrieved on September 15, 2020 at 9:08 a.m. in the morning today. So this is the definition about the concept I am going to share some views, my understanding, which will be enriched by your suggestions, your questions, your queries, and your inputs. So this is the definition which I accept for this today's presentation. Reflective teaching is a self-assessment. It is a self-assessment of teaching. I assess my own teaching, wherein an instructor examines their pedagogy, articulates reasons and strengths for their strategies and identifies areas for revision or improvement. To understand this concept, I found one more document which is called Hong Kong Questionnaire. It has 4 different aspects of reflection. First aspect is habitual action. See, there are some statements. First statement is, when I am working on some activities, I can do them without thinking about what I am doing. It is also a kind of reflection, but it is habitual. There is a change, but it is habitual. When I am working on some activities, I can do them without thinking about what I am doing. So that means I am not aware of what I am doing, but I do. In this course, we do things so many times that I started doing them without thinking about it. Third one is, as long as I can remember handout material for examinations, I do not have to think too much. This is also a habit. If I follow what the lecturer says, I do not have to think too much on this course. So these 4 things, 4 statements are presenting habitual actions. Now the second layer is understanding. This course requires us to understand concepts taught by the lecturer. This course requires us to understand concepts taught by the lecturer. To pass this course, you need to understand the content. I need to understand the material taught by the teacher in order to perform practical tasks. In this course, you have to continually think about the material you are being taught. So this is a second layer, and that is understanding. It requires some effort. The student understands that he or she has to do some more work, that have to take some more actions regarding the study. It cannot be done habitually. Now comes reflection. I sometimes question the way others do something and try to think of a better way. I like to think over what I have been doing and consider alternative ways of doing it. I often reflect on my actions to see whether I could have improved on what I did. I often reappraise my experience so I can learn from it and improve for my next performance. So in the first statement, there is a provision of changing the path. I sometimes question the way others do something and try to think of a better way. So from the observations, one reflects and understands and changes the path. So the reflection guides a person to change the path, to do something in a better way. I like to think over what I have been doing and consider alternative ways of doing it. So there are some alternatives also, which can be examined. So the second statement says that the person considers alternative ways of doing something which he or she does previously in a different manner. So it is an alternative tryout. I often reflect on my actions to see whether I could have improved on what I did. This is also very much important. A person's actions must be watched, must be observed by the person himself or herself. Then and then only he or she could have improved, could understand that he or she is improved or not. So if we are doing something habitually, our actions are habitual, then we cannot understand the improvement. Even improvement is not possible there. So without reflection, we cannot change the way we are behaving. So it is a behavioral change, the result of reflection. So I often reflect on my actions. Then I can understand that I could have improved on what I did. And the final is I often reappraise my experience so I can learn from it and improve for my next performance. So for the next performance, for the betterment in the future, I have to reappraise my experience. So this is the process of reflection. And the final layer is critical reflection. As a result of this course, I have changed the way I look at myself. So something is, the course is over and now I am reflecting over the experience. That as a result of this course, I have changed the way I look at myself. This course has challenged some of my firmly held ideas. See, this is a change. This course has challenged some of my firmly held ideas. Because we are reflecting and we are critically reflecting, which can affect our ideas. Ideas of a person is not changed easily, and when it is firmly held ideas, it is very difficult to change. So something, for example, a course, a program. After a program, after having the experience, we have to critically reflect, and then we can find out that the course, the program has changed our ideas or not. As a result of this course, I have changed my normal way of doing things. The way of doing things is changed, then it is the effect of the course. We understand, we can find out this change after critical reflection. So the critical reflection is the key to know whether we are changed or not. During this course, I discovered faults in what I had previously believed to be right. Something is right in our belief, may be wrong, maybe after review we can understand that it is to be corrected. So everything is to be corrected. Nothing is final. So during this course, I discovered faults in what I had previously believed. So belief, in our beliefs, we have many misconceived things which can be in a course of time changed, can be improved, can be corrected. So these are the results of critical reflection. So if we are understanding these things, if we are aware after a course that something has happened like these four things, then we are at the critical reflection layer. So these four layers, uh, habitual layer, understanding, then reflection, and critical reflection. These are the hierarchical layers, and they are given in Hong Kong questionnaire. Now, Taggart has done much in this field. Reflective thinking pyramid is also given by him. Uh, Dialectual level, contextual level, technical level. These three levels are given by Taggart. Now, reflective thinking is at technical level if reference past experiences, teacher competency toward meeting outcomes, focus on behavior, content or skill, simple theoretical description. If the characteristics of reflection are these, then it is technical level. So it is the bottom line, technical level. Reference past experiences. When we uh, reflect, and for that purpose we reference our past experiences, it is technical level. So in our behavior, if we are doing these things, referencing past experiences or teacher competency toward meeting outcomes, or focus on behavior, content or skill, simple theoretical description, then we are at technical level. Contextual level is the person who has the reflection of this level, contextual level, looks at alternative practices, choices based on knowledge. In the previous slide, we looked at Hong Kong questionnaire. It is also uh, of the same opinion that person looks at alternative practices in reflective layer, looks at alternative practices, choices based on knowledge and value commitments, content related context, student needs, analysis, clarification, validation of principles. So these are the behaviors. These are the characteristics of a behavior of a person who is reflecting uh, at the contextual level. Then comes the dialectical level. The person at this level of reflection, addresses moral, ethical, or socio-political issues, disciplined inquiry, individual autonomy, self-understanding. So we can compare these three levels All these three levels are in a person, in each person. Sometimes we are at technical level, sometimes we are at contextual level, and sometimes we are at dialectical level. But each person has not all these three. Sometimes some of us limit themselves, ourselves at technical level. Then if they effort, if they are aware of reflection, then they move to the second level, that is contextual level. And if the person is aware and pushes himself or herself towards the dialectical level, they can reach the top of the pyramid. So from technical level to dialectical level, we move in a hierarchical manner, in a linear manner. Now, the reflective thinking model. In this model, we have to find out, we have to identify a problem. Then after identifying a problem, we reframe the problem. For the reframation of this problem, we use our observation, our reflection, our data gathering, then moral judgments, schema, and context. So after using these, we reframe the problem and then we move to possible solution sets. In these sets, we have many solutions to a problem. A problem can be solved with many solutions, not a single solution. So the possible solutions are gathered, are observed, they are identified, and then one of them, which is the best one, is experimented. So just fourth stage is experimentation. After experimentation, we evaluate the results. If the problem persists, then we move in the same line to the rejection. We reject the possible solution which is experimented. Again we go to problem, then reframe the problem and go to possible solution sets, and then again one solution is experimented. So it is a cyclic process. And if after experimentation, at the evaluation stage, we find that the problem is solved, then we accept that solution as the solution of that problem. So after acceptance, we go to schema and then again to the problem. So again one more problem, and then this cycle will go on. So this is a cyclic model of reflective thinking. Stages of reflective teaching. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Stages of reflective teaching. So these are the stages. When we talk about the reflective teaching, a teacher has to work in these three phases. First stage is for action, that is for future. So before teaching, a teacher plans. In this stage, a teacher designs the activities for the class, for the outcome he has decided for the class. So it is previous action. For action, that is before teaching. The second stage is in action, that is present. When the teacher is in the class and the action is going on, the teacher reflects. So before beginning the teaching, teacher has reflected on the future. Now at present, he is reflecting in the classroom. And on action, that means after the action is over. So after the class, teacher thinks about the action he has taken in the classroom, and also about the plan, the design he prepared before teaching. So in the on action stage, a teacher thinks about past and the remote past. So these three stages are the stages of reflective teaching, and they are must. It is also for pre-service teachers and also for in-service teachers. As far as the program is concerned, the refresher program, it is for teacher educators, and so for teacher educators, we have pre-service teachers in our teacher training programs, and in some training institutes there are in-service teachers who are trained for a particular aspect. For example, in our university, we are IASE, Institute of Advanced Studies in Education. So we are we design different short-term programs from 3 days to a week for in-service teachers. You are in an in-service teacher program now, which is organized by HRDC, Gujarat University. So in pre-service and in-service teacher programs, all teachers have to follow these three stages, these stages of reflective teaching. So one has to design before the action, before the teaching. While we are teaching, we have to reflect, and after the teaching, one should reflect. Now, the main question is, why reflective teaching? What is the aim? Why reflective teaching? Why one should reflect? The improvement of teaching and the professional development of the teacher is the goal. So this is the first reason why reflective teaching is required. Professional development of the teacher is the goal. So if one needs to be developed professionally, one has to follow reflective teaching. It is a practical, empirical, contextual, exploratory, and personal approach to achieving this goal. This goal means the goal which is mentioned in the first point, that is professional development of the teacher. So for the development of the teacher, it is a practical, empirical, contextual, exploratory, and personal approach. That's why reflective teaching. This type of teaching makes the teacher conscious and self-reliant for the betterment of education. See, not all the teachers are reflective teachers, but the teachers who are professionally developed, or the teachers who want them to develop professionally, they follow this reflective teaching. The teacher consciously does the work in the classroom, before the class, in the class, and after the class. And the result of such activity is the betterment of education. So this type of teaching makes the teacher conscious and self-reliant for the betterment of education. Now he has not to rely on other sources. He himself can evaluate his teaching, his activity in the class, his design of the class, his teaching in the class, and at the end of the class, he can think about the betterment of his teaching. So ultimately, it is the betterment of education in general. It relieves the fatigue of clumsy teaching. Habitually, we are teaching in the class and students are learning. So it is a make believe that the students are learning, but they are learning. Each person is learning every moment, but in a class it is required that students must learn the things which teachers want to teach them. So it is decided, the whole activity is based on the outcomes, and which is the outcome of learning. So learning is the paramount. For learning, teachers are there in the classroom, they teach for the learning, and so if we want our students to learn what is decided to be learned by them, we have to plan our activities, our classroom. We have to design the whole lesson through which we can guide the students to learn those things. Now these activities are very interesting and they relieve the fatigue of clumsy teaching. It is very much interesting, and a teacher is can relieve himself or herself from the fatigue. The teacher becomes a researcher and teaching becomes a lifelong search. Lifelong search. पूरे जीवन की खोज. A teacher becomes a researcher. A teacher, when observes his or her activity in the classroom and evaluates it, then compares with the others, then compares with his or her own experiences, and then concludes something. That is a kind of research, and that's why reflective teaching is very much of the kind of action research. So the teacher becomes a researcher and teaching becomes a lifelong search. जब तक शिक्षक बना रहेगा, ये प्रक्रिया चलती रहेगी, लाइफ लॉन्ग सर्च, जीवन भर की खोज. तो this is what a teacher can achieve through a practice of reflective teaching. Since practice is more important than theory in the study of pedagogy, reflective teaching is essential to learn through practice. सिद्धांत नहीं, बल्कि प्रक्रिया. Since practice is more important than theory, sometimes theory is not of any work, because in a particular situation we do not remember the ideas which we have learned as a part of the theory, but we practice what we require at the moment. ગુજરાતીમાં કહેવાય છે પડે એવા દેવાય. So at the moment when we have to do some instant work, instant action, then this practice of reflective teaching can help us. If we are habituated with reflective teaching, it works there very nicely. So reflective teaching is essential to learn through practice. Thank you very much for being with me and to allow me to talk to you. Now it is your turn. If you want to um, ask questions, you are allowed to ask. Okay.
Sir, may I ask questions, sir?
Oh yes, Divyesh bhai. Ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, what is the difference between metacognitive thinking and this reflective thinking?
Right.
Or both are same?
No, both are different. Metacognition is the layer of cognition. It is a cognition of cognition. And reflective thinking is aware thinking. Metacognition is a kind of background of the cognition. So when we do something, we use metacognition without being aware, while reflective thinking is an aware activity. Flowell has given nice articles on metacognition if you want to know more about metacognition.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, it's a nice session. I am from West Bengal. So I want to ask you whether there is any link between reflective teaching and pragmatism somehow. What is your opinion, sir?
I cannot understand the second thing. Reflective teaching and what?
Pragmatism, sir. Pragmatism. Pragmatism.
He's asking about pragmatism, sir.
Pragmatism, okay. Reflective teaching has, it is not based on any one ism. So it has a relation with idealism, it has relation with pragmatism, with realism, naturalism, any school of thought can be related with reflective teaching. It has nothing to do with a particular ism.
Okay, okay, sir.
Sir, can we say that it is a practicalism?
પ્રતિબેન કંઈક બોલ્યા પણ સંભળાણું નહીં મને.
Sir, can we say that it is practicalism because when we practice it?
Practicalism is very much new for me. I have never read anything about practicalism. So you can throw some light.
I just remember, sir, my days of M.Ed classroom when you were teaching us education technology. Right. And in reflective teaching, you just tell us 3 conditions. Before the classroom, in the classroom, and after the classroom.
Right.
So I just recall those days.
But today, technology has troubled me much.
Yeah. I really apologize for that, sir, because
no, it was at my end. before some days I read about one ism, and that is jobism. A new word, new term I came to know, that is jobism. And nowadays,
Yeah.
the pupils are in the race of jobs. They are not in
Yeah.
the race of learning. They are in the race of job. So
Yeah.
it is a era of jobism.
Ji, sir.
The new terms are being coined. Actually,
Yeah.
reflective teaching is not coined by, I mentioned it earlier also, by Donald Scone, but it is popularized by Donald Scone. Even in our ancient India, we have roots of reflective teaching.
Yeah, when we think about that, our ashram Guru Shishya Parampara, so at that time we were practicing that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, now may I ask one question to the participants?
Ji, sir.
According to you, what is the best idea of teaching? One of them is reflective teaching. Which one is the best? Can you tell me?
I think, sir, it is something demonstration, lecture come demonstration method, and also interactive way to discussion topics to your students. Interaction
Okay.
where student talk much and teacher just listen and guide them.
Okay. So one answer is demonstration and interactive class. Okay. Anything else?
Hello, sir. Hello. May
Hello.
I, sir? May I?
Bhavna Chavda.
Yes, sir. May I, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I want to say that as per my opinion, if we can say that if we collaborate technology with
Someone
our
else
experience,
also speaking.
yes.
Bhavna
If
Ben,
we, yes, if we
can you
collaborate,
repeat please? Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. If we collaborate or coordinate our experiences or teaching experiences or technology ICT, so by blending these two things we can actually teach them, or we can make them learn very easily, sir.
Okay. Using different tools.
Tools, ICT tools, and by coordinating our teaching experience, so we can say
Right.
that it will be very effective or objective oriented.
Right. Anyone else?
Sir?
Hey, Kalpataruji.
Hi, sir.
Sir.
Sir, as for exemplar model, we can say we give the example of Rabindranath Tagore. As I am from Santiniketan, Tagore always says that teaching must be in the lap of nature. So that the students can be bored or students can be not pressurized by while they will teach and learn with the teachers. So if we can teach the students in lap of nature with naturalism, with practical way, then it will be good, I think so. So Rabindranath Tagore's model will be exemplar to us. I hope so.
Right. Okay. Now,
Good
Viral
afternoon,
Kumar.
sir.
Nandita.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Your
afternoon.
session was very enriching. Sir, in regard to these reflective teaching, I want to add that Indian education system is bored with the lecture method. Instead of this lecture method, if we switch over to the experiential learning, I think it would be better option.
Okay.
Experiential learning, it can be scaled down according to the age group and standard of the classes.
Right.
This is my opinion, sir.
Sir. Hello.
Hello.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Vikram bhai.
Sir, as far as my knowledge is concerned, there is no particular method. I mean, a single method.
Hmm.
A best teacher can make use of all the methods. This combination of methods, whenever the situation permits, he can make use of.
Right. Right. Okay.
Sir,
Good
Hiral
afternoon,
Kumar.
sir.
Hiral Bharot.
Hello, sir.
sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Hello.
हाँ बोलो हिरल
Namaskar,
भाई.
sir. Sir, what I thought sir, we have different ways and different media's approach and methods to teach. What is my idea regarding the teaching, sir? We have various philosophy on teaching or on education.
Hmm.
One famous couplet is that, sir, no one can teach anyone. As a teacher, we have to create the platform, or we have to give them ground to nurture or learn by them.
Right.
So, various.
Hello, sir.
Right now, we have ICT in education.
Hmm.
So we are more focusing on that. Before some time ago, we never talked on ICT or something else. Now we have experiential learning, inclusive learning, lot many things.
Right.
But what I feel, sir,
Hmm. Hello. Hiral, we can't hear you.
Hello, sir.
हाँ शर्मिष्ठा जी.
Hello.
जी.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. It was a very excellent session. So, according to me, when a teacher comes down to the level of student and understand the psychology of student, it can be a mixture of different methods. But as a teacher, he has to come down to the level of student, because we know that teacher knows many things. But if I cannot transact my knowledge with the student, so of course teacher has to come down to the level of student, and we have to realize the psychology of students also.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. One thing, when we are studying BA in our college time, we learn a teacher must know Little John and John Latin.
Hmm.
So prior to teaching, you should learn the what is actually John need, about the John family background. And if you know his, already Madam mentioned, his psychology about the student, his philosophy of your teaching, and this way you can share which is appropriate at that time. And during this pandemic, sir, there are so many students in our country as well as state. There is no actually mobile facility, a smartphone facility, but we are going to teach them like urban, rural in mix up. But there is no facility in the rural. One research also, sir, came out 2-3 months back. About 29% students are there not actually access the mobile phone or smartphone. So as a teacher, we should felt this type of situation or problem. So we must reach the students to, and also teach them their actual problem, from the actual problem. That's why, sir, it is mentioned always the teacher must know the Little John and John Latin.
Right. Because everything is for John and not for the
Yes, sir.
teachers.
Yes, sir.
Or anything else.
Yes, sir. So everything is
Right.
yes, sir. Everything is child centric.
Right. Everything is for
Yes, sir.
John.
Yes, sir.
But John is most neglected factor.
Yes, sir.
That is also a reality.
Yes, sir.
See, in our university in Gujarat Vidyapith, I am from Gujarat Vidyapith. It is founded by Mahatma Gandhi in 1920 himself. We have about 80% or more than 80% students from remote rural areas. And nowadays, we are conducting our examinations. When we ask our students in the vacation that what will be the their priority for examination, online or offline. So 15% of them opted for online examination if they are not allowed the offline mode. See, that means 100% opted for offline examination because they don't have the network even. Some of the students have to move 2-3 kilometers from their house for network on a hill. Some students are sitting on a tree and learning. So this is the reality. But what I asked is, according to me, answered by one participant, and that is Vikram Bhai. There is no single method. When we are in the classroom, we have to decide what is right, what will work. Gujarati, there is a proverb in Gujarati, Hajar te hathiyar. What will be the weapon which is available? If I don't have ICT, I cannot use it. If I don't have the facilities, how can I teach using those facilities? So I will have to manage the things, and that is the reflection. We have to reflect according to our situation. We have to design our lesson, we have to plan our lesson according to our situation. We have to work in the classroom according to our situation. Each teacher has different set of students. So one formula cannot work for everyone, and one formula cannot work for every time. If once we have worked with a special idea in a class, some other time, the same idea may fail. So it changes every time. We are dealing with a living situation, and we have to mold us because we are living being. So if we cannot mold ourselves, if we cannot change ourselves, then we are not living being. We are technologies. My laptop cannot change itself. I have to change. And if I cannot change myself, I am just like a laptop. Educational technology defines a teacher as a multimedia. And when I taught, as Preeti said before some time, that this definition has one more word and is living multimedia. A teacher is a multimedia, that is right, but it is a living multimedia. This is the difference. If technology can replace a teacher, the teacher deserves it. I, as a teacher, must be inevitable in the class. If my notes can work what I can teach in the class, students can learn from my notes, then there is no need of myself. I have to reflect. I have to change according to my reflection. If I want to be there, I want to be must for them, then I have to present myself in the manner that students wait for me. And if I can be replaced by something, by a video, by a note, by an audio, anything, then I deserve to be replaced. Now I have to think all these things. I have to reflect my actions, reflect over my actions, and I have to improve myself. This is reflective teaching. The reflective teaching tells us that each time you have to manage the situation. So you have asked some questions and gave me an opportunity to think over it. Thank you very much.